What's happening, everybody? It is Colin Andrews, and we are crushing it with crypto, where we show you how we're crushing it, we show how you can crush it, and we do it by having some of the top minds in the entire crypto space. And today we are super excited to be able to have Mr. Reuben Yap, who is the COO of ZCoin. And with ZCoin, I've been really digging into it and really checking it out, and I was like, I got to get him on the call. And one of the things that we're going to be going over is not just some of the important parts and pieces and what makes ZCoin a special coin, something that you should look at. But Reuben is also just I've seen multiple of his presentations and speeches across the world, and he just really knows this space. He knows
I didn't know that.
about privacy coins. He knows where this market and where this brand new beautiful asset class is going. And so for all of you wanting to know what we're going to be covering, we're going to be covering ZCoin, but through that we're also going to be covering privacy. We're going to be covering some of the differences between Monero, Dash, and other privacy coins. We're also going to be covering some of the misconceptions that Bitcoin has about privacy as well. And Reuben does a really good job of explaining that. And so grab yourself a notebook, get yourself a pad or paper to take some notes with, and we're going to have an awesome interview. So you ready to go, Mr. Reuben Yap?
Yes.
Coming from the other side of the world. All right, so Reuben, first of all, if you could please just tell us, give us the quick background story. Why did you guys come up with ZCoin? What was its purpose? And just kind of give us a quick overview of the genesis of ZCoin, if you may.
Well, basically the founder, Paramin Insom, he's from Thailand, and what actually happened was he had always been a fan of ASIC resistance and also privacy mechanisms. So actually a very little known fact is that Paramin is actually the founder of an earlier coin called Vertcoin. And Vertcoin was actually, I think, one of the first coins that tried to do ASIC resistance. I think there's still ASIC resistance for the moment. And they were also the first ones to implement stealth addresses. So what happened was...
Great. And real quick, Reuben, just if I may, as we go through this interview, some of these people, especially they're newer at this. So if there's a term that I think that maybe people don't know, do you mind if I interrupt you and ask you to kind of go over that? Okay, excellent. So for the Homer Simpson of crypto, tell us what you mean by ASIC resistance.
So ASICs are basically specialized machines that are designed to do one thing and one thing very, very well. So like if you take a look at your general computer, your CPU, your graphics cards, they are designed to do a multiple things. And as a result, they're not specialized and they aren't as efficient as machines that do one thing very, very specifically. In fact, ASICs actually stand for application specific integrated circuit. So let's just say, this is the reason why you can't mine Bitcoin with your general computer, because an ASIC specialized machine can do this thousands and thousands of times much more efficient than your computer ever can. So, you can't really compete. So what ASIC resistance means is that we're designing technology so that it's much more difficult to build specialized machines for it. And there are certain, of course, reasonings behind that, which I guess we'll go in later. But I guess the general idea is that we don't want specialized machines to secure the blockchain. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. Appreciate that.
And stealth addresses was basically a way, because if you're using Bitcoin, a lot of people actually say that, to preserve privacy, one of the ways you can sort of protect your privacy a little bit more is that whenever you're receiving new funds is to create a new address. So that address doesn't have any prior history, so you can't tie it to a string of history. And previously, this is a problem, because that means, like, if I want to have one public address, like, put my bank account number online, if anyone checks that address, without stealth addresses, I could basically tell your entire history of that particular address. And that's why we're always encouraged to create new Bitcoin addresses whenever we are receiving a new transaction in. Stealth addresses kind of automates that, where I can give a public address, but it kind of hides the address that it's actually going to. So that's what stealth addresses is. But back to
Got
the original question, which, so, Parmin was creating Vertcoin, and he went to John Hopkins University in the US to do his master's degree, and he was actually under a professor called Matthew Green, and Matthew Green is one of the top cryptographers in this space, and he's actually I believe one of the scientists in Zcash, one of another large privacy coin. And while he was at John Hopkins University, he figured out a way for a practical implementation of zero coin, which I believe was the first use of zero knowledge proofs in a privacy mechanism. And basically, for the lay people out there, zero knowledge proofs is a way to prove that I did something without giving out any information about it. But I guess maybe we'll talk about that later. So, when Parmin was studying about zero coin, and he was like, hey, I want to create a new zero coin. And originally what happened is he tried to create a coin, like a merge mine coin with Vertcoin, but then the community didn't really like it, because they were like, why should we have this complicated system to enable privacy? And as a result, Parmin then moved on, got some seed investor funding to start ZCoin, to kind of preserve the sort of original idea of what he wanted to achieve, which is, a privacy coin with ASIC resistance, and that's how ZCoin was born, basically. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. And if you can, because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about privacy coins, that people think that, they're only for nefarious activities. They're for, when people, back when the Silk Road was around, and for, essentially doing things and activities that are not against the law, that aren't on the up and up. And I think that that's one of the things that I've seen you in your presentations really share and talk about the importance of privacy, and much more on a grander scale than the type of people that are using it for the negative, illegal type of activities.
Yes, I mean, like, we've seen other privacy coins, such as the top ones like Monero. They actively promote such, like, illicit usage for, drugs and dark nets and all this other stuff. And I think that's quite unfortunate, because it really puts privacy coins in the bad light, as if you have something to hide. But, we've seen things like, everyone now, especially in this day and age, in, like, big data and Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, people are now beginning to understand what privacy is. But we always take financial privacy as a given, because not anybody can check our bank account balance and our transactions. Only authorized people can. But people don't realize that transactions on the blockchain are both, first of all, permanent and public, and they are forever there. And people say, well, how can you tell this address belongs to me? And there are many, many companies that are specialized in doing this. They're called blockchain analysis firms. And their sole job is to determine the identities or links transactions together. And it's not that difficult. There's actually a wide body of academic research that shows that this is actually quite easily done, or else they wouldn't be this blockchain analysis firms to begin with. So if you think about it, if I'm going to be using a global cryptocurrency, a currency that supposed to be totally global, do I want a currency where in the future, or even now, actually today, that I can tell everybody's activities online? And people would probably hesitate to use such a system, because how we spend, when we spend, how much we have, are some of the most private things that we have in our lives, and
Right.
people have to realize that we're not necessarily hiding illicit activity. It's just a basic human right. Like, you would show your bank account or tell us, just imagine it's like having like, I have $5 million on my forehead, and no one wants to do that. So when people realize this, we believe, the new thing that we'll be talking about is, my money is my business. And I think people get that
Mhm.
once you frame it in that regard, rather than privacy. And people don't quite see the benefits of privacy. But I think we're starting to see a shift right now. Yeah.
In that, got it. And as far as some of the other privacy coins that have, a larger market cap than you guys right now, can you kind of go over first, like, have they been around just longer? Have they just had more support in the way of developers? Have they, what is it, and why are some of these that have been around? And I've seen, the differences, and here you explain about what the pros and cons are. If you can, share about Monero, for instance. They're the biggest, the baddest as far as just what's really out there on the privacy. When people think privacy coins, that's the first one that people think about. And so for somebody that's out there, for somebody that's listening right now that might have some Monero, like myself, a lot of people that are investing in what I call the blue chips, or the top 10, top 20 coins on market cap based on overall volume. Why should somebody really take a look at Zcoin over having the ability to be in Monero, where it's more liquid, there's more volume, so you don't have necessarily, depending on how much you're trading, that if you don't have slippage and these type of things. Why should someone really look at Zcoin over some of these other privacy coins that have a little bit more cred on the street, so to say?
For sure. I mean, like, the leaders, I would say, in privacy coins would be definitely Monero is by far the leader, and it's often seen as one. And if you take a look, there are other contenders such as Zcash, which is also a very high market cap. And some may think Dash, because I believe Dash, when they were first launched, they were called Dark Coin. And I believe they were one of the very first coins that were talking about privacy. And without getting into too much details, I mean, Monero is a very mature product. And obviously, they have a great team. They have a great set of cryptographers. But the technology that they're using, first of all, yes, it works well. But I believe they've kind of reached the limits of what that technology can do. Because ring signatures, by its very design, you cannot take so for the lay people out there, how Monero works is that when I'm doing a transaction to somebody, I'm trying to find other dummy people to do that same transaction, so I kind of obscure who's actually doing the transaction, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like 1 in 5 currently, or even if you say 1 in 10, 1 in 12, and even if with much greater development, maybe you'll get 1 in 100. So basically, whenever you're doing a transaction, your real transaction is still in there. It's just kind of hidden in a sea of dummy transactions. And
Mm-hmm.
if you take a look at the way Monero does it through ring signatures, that's as far as they can go. What we call this is the anonymity set. Your anonymity set is 100 people. And one of the analogies that I always use and people get a lot is that, let's say if I want to pass some gas and let out a fart, right? And if I'm the only one in the room, obviously it's me. But if I bring 5 other people in the room and I let out wind, then it's like, oh, it could be 1 in 5. And basically that's what anonymity set is. And if you take a look at zero knowledge proofs, it's very different, because Monero is like on a transaction basis. I send to A to B, and maybe I mix with 5 other people. With zero knowledge proofs, I'm no longer mixing with just 5 other people. I can be mixing with thousands or even possibly millions of other people, as such that it's no longer plausible deniability. 1 in 5, I can still probably eliminate, do some things to weed out and still within the reason to eliminate. But if I am doing anonymity sets in the tens of millions, there's no way that you're going to go single out in that regard. So I feel that actually like zero knowledge proofs such as used in Zcoin and Zcash are the next wave of privacy coins. And a lot of the so-called criticisms of privacy of Zcash or even Zcoin that we don't have privacy on by default, which is basically Monero's main thing, that you have all transactions are private, while in Zcoin and Zcash you can kind of pick. I mean, right now, a lot of these issues will be going away as zero knowledge proof research improves and the scalability of such technology increases. And I really believe that, for real privacy, you should not be looking at 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 or even 1 in 100. You should be looking at the absolute best privacy or like plausible deniability that you can get. And zero knowledge proofs really fit in that description. I guess that's the main thing with Monero, yeah. And let's see,
Got it.
Dash,
Okay.
they have kind of abandoned that. So, but yep, go ahead and ask your next question. Yeah.
They have, got it. So with that, how do they actually have that many sets? How does it work? And without going through like give it Homer Simpson style, how if I send you $10, worth of Zcoin, how is it that it can go out to that? There's you said tens of thousands of other transactions that are also have that $10 worth of Zcoin that comes to you. Where does that come from, and how does that not just overwhelm the overall system?
Okay. So remember when I spoke in Monero where you're kind of finding other people to
Right.
mix with, right?
Right.
With zero knowledge proofs, what I do is I actually destroy the coin. The coin actually stops existing. And then what happens then is that I will, at any time in the future, I would then generate a new coin, but using the proof that I burnt a coin in the past. But that proof doesn't show which coin that I burnt. So basically, it's like a proof of destruction. It's like, hey, I burned this coin. I retain a receipt that I actually burned this coin. But this receipt doesn't show which coin I actually burned. It's any of the previous coins that anyone else has ever burnt in the history of Bitcoin. And that's how we get that large anonymity set. It's not based on a per transaction basis. It's with anyone else that had ever burnt that coin. Yeah.
Got it. No, that's really clear. And is there any type of challenge when one coin is being burned and a new one is being created? Is that during that transaction, is there any type of risk that there could be some type of issues between that destruction, so to say, and then the resulting creation of a new coin? Are there any risks involved with that something could go wrong, or if the first coin gets burnt and something happens where the new one isn't created properly?
The new ones, I mean, they shouldn't be an issue with new ones being created. I mean, it's just basically how the math works. But there can be issues where if the cryptography is broken or the implementation has issues, let's say like it was coded wrong or something like that. What that may allow is the forgery of coins, to be able to generate coins without having to burn it in the past. So let's say it's like, usually I have to I need to burn a coin, get a proof, and then generate a new coin. But if I break the cryptography that underpins this technology, I can create a coin without having to have burned the coin. And that creates, basically secret inflation, right? And that's one of the things that traditionally we've been talking about in Zcoin, how we have supply auditability, in the sense that when you burn one coin, you redeem one coin. When you burn 10 coins, you redeem 10 coins. And as long as this, you see the thing going in and out, you know that, okay, yes, there's no secret coins being created, because you can see the coins going to the burn and coming out the same amount. While in a system like Zcash, where they've kind of really done a lot of privacy improvements, what happens there is that when you burn a coin, you can still send it. You can actually, it becomes, they don't have supply auditability in the sense that if there's a breaking in their cryptography, you can't actually tell whether someone is generating secret coins. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
big problem if, because Zcoin uses quite new cryptography, what we call exotic cryptography. It uses certain assumptions that hasn't really stood the test of time. And yes, what they're doing is really, really good because they're getting immense performance, small sizes, really quick transactions. But the drawback is that they're using this really experimental cryptography. And in cryptography, experimental or new cryptography is generally not good. You want to be relying on principles that have been tested for years and years, and people have been trying to break it for years and years. So one way to think
Mm-hmm.
about it is if the cryptography in Zcoin breaks, the least of your problems would be Zcoin because your banking transactions, your SSL certificates, your internet basically would break. While with Zcash, if their cryptography breaks, then basically only Zcash and the many, many clones of Zcash would be affected because no one else's uses ZK snarks. And, some people may see it to be a problem, some may not, but it's something to be more cognizant of. Yeah.
Guys, so you're saying that with just how strong your cryptography is, that in order for something to happen where new coins would be created or some type of break in the system, essentially the entire internet would have to go down based
Yeah,
on
I mean
how.
the cryptography that we're using is called RSA 2048. So unless we coded it wrong, if that cryptography is broken, you have a lot bigger issues than just Zcoin. Yeah.
Got it. And you call this the zero coin protocol? Is that correct?
Yes, it's not actually a creation by us because it was actually created by the people who did Zcash before they came up with the zero cash protocol. So it's all really confusing. There's so many Z's, right? So zero
Right.
coin is the name of the protocol. Zero cash is the protocol that's used in Zcash, but zero coin is the protocol that is used in Zcoin. And they are using different cryptographic principles, but they have similar ideas, but they're both zero knowledge proofs, but they're not the same code at all, and they're not the same cryptography at all.
Okay, got it. Excellent. Let's talk about master nodes for a moment. You guys use master nodes. I'm a fan of master nodes. My background is real estate, and so the idea of getting some type of ROI, some type of almost a interest bearing instrument in so many words. When you're helping the overall system, can you kind of first explain, what the heck is a master node for the Homer Simpsons of crypto that might be watching today? What's a master node? Why did you guys decide to have master nodes be a part of the system? And what really benefits specifically to Zcoin does master nodes offer?
So right now, I mean, if you take a look at Bitcoin, Litecoin, most other proof of work coins, or even proof of stake coins, in general, proof of work coins, like let's just use Bitcoin as an example. The only people that are rewarded are the miners, basically the
Right.
people that secure the network, right? So there's nothing that is paid for people that actually maintain the network. So everyone's paying paid to secure the network, but no one's actually funding the infrastructure to maintain the network, such as bandwidth, disk space, right? So like most users of Bitcoin, if you think about it, would never use what we call a full node. They would never host a complete copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, because why should I, if I'm not being paid, why should I use 160 gigabytes or 180 gigabytes of my hard disk space and bandwidth for free? I'm not getting anything by hosting this, right? So the idea behind masternodes
Uh-huh.
is that on top of people that I reward people that secure the network, I also reward people that maintain the network, that maintain, make sure that there's decent propagation of the blocks, the transactions get transmitted across. There's enough people storing the complete set of blockchain, and they're incentivized, first of all, to maintain it, and also to use better performance hardware because they're being paid to do it. They afford better hardware rather than some people using their Raspberry Pi to host a Bitcoin node. And this is actually much more important when you're looking at privacy schemes, because whenever you implement a privacy scheme, there's always a trade-off in the sense that you are sacrificing some performance and disk space in general. Like a regular Bitcoin transaction takes about, I don't know, like 500 bytes or something like that. While one zero coin transaction, the spend transaction, the redeeming portion of it, is taking 25 kilobytes. Kilobytes is a huge increase. It's immense increase. So
Multiples, yeah, right.
yes, in huge multiples. And if you take a look at Monero, currently, each transaction is 15 to 25 kilobytes. Not even bytes. It's like 50 times more than a regular Bitcoin transaction. How would you, as the blockchain grows and grows, how would you incentivize people to maintain these nodes? Of course, Monero's point of view is that, if you want privacy, then you maintain your own node. I don't know. I mean, personally, I feel that you should be paying people to also maintain the network, and it's only fair. And we have some other ideas where we can use Z nodes, but basically they're all scaling. It's another method of scaling to have an incentivized network that will be incentivized to upgrade their hardware and to do certain specialized tasks for the blockchain. It's kind of like services on the blockchain. Yeah.
Got it.
And
Excellent.
basically, yeah, what you need to have a master node, because we don't want people creating like a million nodes that do nothing. So there's what we call like a deposit. Like you use 1,000 Z coins, you put it as a deposit, and you kind of lock it up. And as long as you maintain the node with that 1,000 deposit, you will continue receiving part of the reward for maintaining that master node. And one of the interesting things
right
is
now,
that there's no lock-in period. Yep, go on.
okay, got it. And speaking of the master nodes, how many are needed in order to get a master node in? What's the
1,000
amount?
Zcoin, 1,000 Zcoin, which I guess is about 28,000 US dollars at the moment. Yeah.
28,000. Okay, got it. And do you guys recommend, or for those that might be watching that are interested in getting some of the rewards, do you have any type of master-node pooling type projects that are out there that people they want to be a part of it, they want to start getting some of the master-node rewards, they want to be involved, in the community and helping to secure it. Do you guys recommend that? Tell us a little bit about that for people that they don't necessarily have 28 grand that they can spend. Do you have some place to go where people can do that?
I mean the problem with I wouldn't say we would recommend it, but there are definitely options, because when you are doing a pooled master node, let's say you don't have 1,000, you only have maybe 100 or so, you're finding other people to pool it together. But at the end of the day, you still have to trust one person to hold those funds for you. So it's kind of like putting your money in exchange or trusting someone to hold your funds on behalf of you. So if that guy runs off, or they steal your money, you're out of luck. You lose control of those funds in a pooled master node, right? But there are many solutions that I wouldn't say complete solutions, but there are several exchanges that allow a sharing of the rewards. They're like TDEX and BX Thailand, and basically you just put your money there, and they'll take a certain cut. They will also give you part of the reward. So that's really easy because you just need to put your coins there. You don't have any sort of setup. There's even a wallet called Kobo wallet, COBO, and basically you just put, as long as you use their mobile wallet, you put some Zcoin in, they will give you some returns. Of course, some of it will be absorbed as fees, but it's a simple, easy way to do it. And I would say they are much more preferable than, let's say, going to a pooled masternode provider where they may just run off, while exchanges and this wallet providers, I guess the bigger entities, less likely to run off, but still it's a risk. You're kind of like trusting an exchange or trusting a wallet provider, but I guess it's better than just trusting some random Joe on the street.
Right.
So yeah,
Got it.
distinctions out.
Those are some great resources. Now, Zcoin, it's proof of work, but you're also using master nodes. So can you kind of just go through that and kind of explain how that works together?
So most people think masternodes is proof of stake, but it actually isn't. It's what we call proof of service. That means as long as I'm providing the service to the network, I will get paid. As long as my node remains online, I'm continuing to maintain my onlineness, I'll get a part of the block reward. While proof of work is actually right to the security of the blockchain. Basically, I'm doing work to secure the blockchain. So they kind of like complement each other, but it's still the miners that secure the network. It's just that we give part of it to the master nodes to maintain the network, but they don't contribute to security beyond increasing the number of nodes and decentralization in that regard. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. So just for the beginner that's out there that's listening to this, master nodes, and especially with Zcoin speaking about specifically, keeps a record where you have the miners that are really kind of supporting and backing up the network, whereas master nodes, they don't do that per se, but what they do is keep a record of it. So they're essentially doing some of the overall work that needs to be done in order to give the entire project security, because they're getting an overall, they're holding an overall record of all the transactions. And especially when it comes to privacy, you're saying that it just requires more energy in order to do transactions. And so the way that you guys have set yourself up with creating a master node is that it allows the system to be more secure and also to scale better. Is that accurate?
Yes, and there are other things that you can do with master nodes because you can build stuff on top of it, but that will probably be more technical. But basically, like for example with Dash, you can have instant send abilities and things like that. We haven't implemented those for certain reasons without going too far into it. But the fact is that you can build services on top of this master nodes as well. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I've got a couple more questions here. One of them, and this is something that just happened recently. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the recent 51% attack on Zencash. Tell us, what your thoughts are on that. And I'm sure, like you said, with all these Z coins, I bet people even probably thought that are mistaking Zcash for you guys, and you're like, wait a minute. We have a Z in our name, but we didn't, there's no 51% attack here. So I would like to know, though, what kind of things that you're doing to prevent something similar happening to you guys.
This is actually, this is just a recent development, right? We're seeing all these coins being 51% attacked, but I find the thing that is interesting about this attacks is that they come when an ASIC was being developed for Equihash. Equihash is basically the mining algorithm that's used in Zcash and Zencash, and basically all the coins that copied Zcash, they use this algorithm called Equihash. So this, Bitmain has already announced their ASIC miner for it. So basically you have a machine that can do things thousands and thousands of times. Oh well, with Equihash is not that efficient, but it's still multiple times more efficient than a GPU or a CPU ever can. So what happens then is that these miners haven't actually been really released to the public. These miners are all just sitting in factories or with the manufacturers and all this type of things. As a result, it means that there is an unequal power. Everyone else is still mining with their slow car, and everyone's, then there's this guy with a Lambo just running everything else, right? And the problem with that is that when you have all that powers centralized with a manufacturer that has this, specialized machines called ASICs, if the hash rate is not distributed or the security is not distributed, they can then use that power to overwhelm smaller coins because there's just not enough security when everyone else is just securing 5 times slower. And I guess we are launching a different algorithm called MTP, which makes it harder for such things to happen because ASICs are much harder to be developed for such coins like ours. But it's a very
Okay.
interesting problem. I maybe beyond
And
the
Reuben,
topic.
Reuben, real quick, if you can, I forgot to ask, for those that don't know what the heck a 51% attack is in the first place, I asked you, like, how are you guys keeping from having that happen to you? But, a lot of the people that are watching this, I say, we all are Homer Simpsons of crypto
Right.
at some time. We all just, are still learning it. So I try to define any types of complicated terms. So for anyone listening too, one of the things that you're going to get by watching our calls is us breaking it down, because you have some of these super smart people like Reuben is, but unfortunately they could be talking in a way that might just not get it all right, and it's because
Sure.
people, the networks and people that you're speaking with all the time, are on a different level. So you've done an amazing job breaking it down, the simplicity and making it simple. You've really, you brought down complicated topics. So so if you could, let's back up real quick and give an overall kind of description. What is the 51% attack? And you're talking about go ahead.
So basically, what we call why the security mechanism of Bitcoin is called proof of work is that you do work that secures the network. And in this case, it's computational work. I'm putting computing power to do work, right?
Yeah.
And generally, the more computing power you have, the harder it is to compromise the security of the network. But if I have enough computing power to control 51%, that means basically I have half of the I'm basically doing half of the entire computing power that's securing it. I have the power to sort of dictate which transactions go in and which transactions go out, because now I'm basically the boss because I've just controlled. It's kind of like a share, like a shareholding in a company, right? Asset is based on computing power. The more computing power I have, the more say I have, and 51% is when I basically can almost do anything I want. It's similar like a company, right? But if I have something like 20%, well, I can't really do much because the other security, the other majority is preventing me from doing that. So basically, a 51% is kind of like a shareholder instead of owning
like a hostile takeover.
Yeah, it's like hostile takeover, except that it's based on computing, how much computing power you're putting into it. And ASICs, the specialized machines that we're talking about, is like, it's almost like I have shares that have 5 times the worth than your shares in voting power. So obviously, I just need less expenditure to achieve the same amount of power that you can. So I guess that's an easy way of looking into it. It's like I'm having a share with 5 times the power if I have a specialized machine, basically.
Got it. And the way that, because of the cryptography that you guys are using, as well as also with it being ASIC resistant, those two factors and help with making that be very, very difficult to happen with ZCoin. Is that correct, or is there as well that kind of deter something like that happening? Because obviously, I would assume you think, anyone that would invest in a coin that could be taken over by people that aren't running or the founders of the coin, that's a really scary concept, right? The idea of some some actor that comes into the space that is not a part of the main team taking it over and being able to use it for what they want.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, what our technology does, so when we were talking about having like shares with 5 times the vote as another share, which only has 1 vote, what our technology is supposed to do is that to make sure that everyone's shares are roughly equal votes. That means like, so Satoshi, the creator of Bitcoin, used to say 1 CPU, 1 vote, in a sense that if I have 1 computer, I have 1 vote, or roughly the amount of same power. So that means, yes, if I can buy more computers, I can have 10 computers, 100 computers, but at the end of the day, I'm not gaining a, it's like I'm buying more shares, but all those shares still have 1 vote. Unlike with specialized machines, especially like in Bitcoin, it's like I buy 1 share and it's worth 2,000, 3,000 votes. So the idea of our algorithm is to put everyone on the fair playing field. So that means that, like I I put in this amount of money, I'm going to get this amount of power. And as such that I cannot have efficient attacks, I need to expend so much money and like outspend everyone else. And by that time, it's kind of silly because I will be just shooting myself in my own foot and hurting my own investment. But I guess the idea is that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want all the shares to have roughly about the same. I put in this amount of money, I'm going to get this amount of voting power. And that's how MTP works. The paper is actually called egalitarian computing. So I guess that expresses it in a very nice way that everyone's as equal as possible. So it's hard for one person to gain like a unfair advantage unless like I control like so much computing that, yeah, I guess that's the general idea.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
that's big.
Um, yeah, no, that's good. Some of these complex terms and just it really is. It takes someone special to be able to break it down, some of these complex things, and make it in a way that people can understand. Because if you have all these amazing features and benefits to a coin, but then I watch these interviews and these people can't explain it. They say we have the Gizmo 123H4 and it does this, and then you're like, what the heck does that even mean? So, that's great that you're, breaking it down. So let's talk about the future. What is the future for ZCoin? Right now, when we actually scheduled the interview, you guys were just outside the top 100 coins. Right now, you're sitting at 97. So top 100 coin. Congrats on that, Reuben. Out of the 1,500, 1,600 coins, 1,600 now coins that are out right now. For everyone that's listening, it's at currently at $28.37. The most volume is coming from Binance, it looks like, as well as also FEX. And I'm not familiar. Is FEX, is that what exchange is that? Is that an Asian exchange?
Yeah, I mean, like, we even had no contact with them, and suddenly they listed us as some Hong Kong exchange. I have no idea who they are.
Okay.
Bittrex, of course, would be the major one that we're listed on as well. And there's actually one that's missing there, which used to be called BTC38. And I think they're having some API problems, and they're traditionally one of the top in volumes. They're a Chinese exchange. They're now called, yeah, so AX, but they're having API problems, so CoinMarketCap took them out, but I guess they'll be back in shortly. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, they're doing 20% of your volume, so that's not bad for you guys not even knowing who they are. Most people are begging and praying and please post my coin on the on your exchange, and for you to have somebody that just is putting you on there and has some pretty decent volume is impressive. So that's where you guys, who's listening, you guys could go check it out. So tell us a little bit more about like what's the history? Do you have any kind of milestones coming up that we should be looking at? Tell us a little bit more.
So I think one of the major issues with privacy coins, like with all privacy coins, is usability. And most coins, even like Zcash have such great technology behind it, but when you try using it, it's like a pain in the ass to use. And that's also true for Zcoin right now. It's designed by programmers who don't think of the Homer Simpson. And because of that, a lot of mistakes happen when people don't know how to use the privacy coin correctly. They do things that expose their identity. And our new our design goal now is to have a user interface that breaks it down for the Homer Simpson, that will say it's like, okay, just use it. If this is private, you should be able to trust it's private without having to worry about the things in the background. And yes,
Right.
the interface is not just about cosmetics. It will educate you through the process, and maybe you learn a bit more of how the system works in the background. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to know the exact specifics. It just works. And that's one of the design goals we have in our user interface, and that's something we're spending a lot of time on. So, unlike other coins, they just put the fresh skin and like, it's like putting lipstick on the pig. We're really thinking about the user experience. And the other things that we're coming off, so remember, we're talking about the algorithm that balances everyone out. We've already have it on testnet. That's due to launch in maybe 2 months or so. We're even working with our next gen privacy system that is solves a lot of the issues. Like, it's no longer 25 kilobytes, it's a lot smaller, like 1.3 kilobytes or something small like that. So we're working on our next gen privacy system, which will be even easier to use. And I guess those are the short term goals for this year. And we even have something called dandelion that we're working on. Dandelion, like the flower, and that
Mm-hmm.
allows you to hide your transaction origin. That means, like, when I do my transaction, I have an IP address, that possibly may link the IP address to the transaction.
Right.
Dandelion, traditionally how you do that is you turn on Tor, you turn on I2P or some sort of privacy mechanism, but Dandelion can
Right.
remove that requirement by hiding where that transaction actually comes from without going into specifics. And that's in the roadmap this year as well. So these are all
As well.
privacy and decentralization technologies that we're working on, and most importantly, the user interface, which, people think it's not sexy, but to me, it's the most important thing for a real life adoption. Because if
Mm-hmm.
your grandma can't use it, if everything's like some gobbledygook, and we've seen with Zcash, there's some academic papers out, like such great technology, but people are using it wrong, and they broke all the anonymity. And so we're really, really cognizant of this issue right now, and something we are really excited to work on. I think we're the first coin actually genuinely trying to address this issue.
Got it. No, that's great. It sounds like you got some really cool things in the process. And being able to mask or have that additional level of privacy with Dandelion, where they won't be able to track back, IP. It's just, next levels where you have to use other systems. That sounds like you're trying to put it all in house. So it's, they don't have to set up a Tor. They don't have to set up a VPN or, other types of tools that you could make it easier for somebody to do their business privately, and not put it out there in the world of who's doing what. Because like you said, it's our money, and the last thing you want to do is have a big a big number of what you have, or little number, regardless of how much crypto that you have. You never want to be a target. And my real estate background days, asset protection, once you have it, you got to learn how to save it and hold on to it. And one of the biggest things in regards to that is not showing your cards, so to say, not showing all of the different wallets that you have, and making it, being able to be traced back to you. So I think that's just really just overall smart investing, regardless whether it's crypto or just general investing. So that's excellent. All right, so I know you love ZCoin. I know that's your go-to. If besides ZCoin, are you looking at any other coins? What other stuff that you like? Do you have a big bag of something that you just really believe in besides ZCoin, or do they put a gun to your head and say sell all of your other tokens and go 100% into Bitcoin?
I mean, like, I wouldn't call myself an investor that knows everything, right? Of course, I hold some
Yeah.
Ethereum, hold some Bitcoin, but if you say, like, more exotic picks, I even own some of my competition, like Zcash. I own some of them, because I really
Okay.
like what they're doing. They're a serious project. One of the projects that I'm actually looking at, which hasn't been launched yet, is called Grin, and is basically another privacy coin. They're using something called Mimblewimble, which is named after Harry Potter, and all their developers are like anonymous and like Lord Voldemort and all that sort of stuff. And as a geek, I really like that technology. There are certain benefits there, but because
What was that called? I'm sorry.
Grin is like a smile, but then
Green.
the protocol is called Mimblewimble.
Okay.
Mimble Wimber. So yeah, just Google that, and that's really interesting as well. I mean, my expertise is in privacy coins, so I tend to invest in something that I understand. With smart contract platforms, there's just so many. I mean, I have a bit of Elf, I have a bit of Komodo. Komodo is quite interesting as well. You know, they're doing like they're using zero knowledge proofs to have like a decentralized exchange called ButterDex. So I think that's quite interesting as well. But of course, I would say like the bulk of my holdings is Zcoin. But yeah, I do hold some of my competition as well. And I think one of the things that differentiates Zcoin from other coins is that we're realistic. You know, we pay respect when it's due. There's no reason to crap on the competition because we all trying to achieve the same thing. And if they're doing legit work, it's legit. It's only if like they're doing something shady or overselling or just being a scam coin, then we'll call them out. But otherwise,
Yeah.
like Monero, Zcash, and like these are like serious privacy coins that are moving towards the same goal. Well, we have different viewpoints on certain things. We have different ways to get there, but that doesn't mean we should shit on each other. Yeah.
No, I agree. I really think that's big of you, and also intelligent that your area is privacy, and so you're not going to say, "Hey, I'm going to hate on everybody." You believe in the power of privacy, and you believe in technology, and so if another company / token is using concepts that you have checked out, that it's like, hey, why not? If I believe in the overall importance of privacy, that, hey, we're not the only game in town and other people are doing interesting things as well. So I think that's really mature of you, and just a class act to say that. So much appreciated. Last question for people that want to get into it. They know where to go, where they can go. Binance, Fex, Bittrex, CoinRoom looks like it has a little bit of volume as well, but really Binance is the spot where the most of your volume
One
is.
cool thing is that we recently concluded a partnership with Changely, so that would be an easy way to get it. It's not listed yet; it'll probably be up in 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that would be great for adoption as well. So you can just trade whatever coins and change it into Zcoin. That would be a really easy way to get some
Okay,
Zcoins
good.
as well.
So that's already in the books, that Changely. And for people real quick that don't know what Changely is, what is Changely? And that is for sure going to be set up. Is that kind of like a shapeshift?
Yeah. So Shapeshift is basically Changely is Shapeshift's competitor, but
Okay.
besides, usually people have to go to exchange, sign up, do all this ding dong and whatnot. When most people just want to, okay, I put in this Bitcoin and I get this coin back, or I put this coin and I get Bitcoin back.
Right.
And this is Changely and Shapeshift offer this type of services with minimal registration, unless you're doing very, very large amounts, which you shouldn't be using on this type of systems. But let's say if you want to get a couple of $100 or even $1,000 worth of Zcoin
Yeah.
or whatever it is, you can go to these services. You just deposit the Bitcoin and you get your Zcoin almost immediately. And these are great ways to do it. If you
Great.
don't want to install our desktop wallet, there's a really great third-party mobile wallets called Edge Wallet, which is pretty secure as well, and that's a good way to store, like, let's say 100 coins or 200 coins or so.
Okay, great. So you have your own private wallet that you guys have developed that's secure. That's a great place that you can hold, and also that's where you would go to stake the coins if they're going to be interested in a masternode. Is that correct?
Correct. That's right. Yeah, that would be the full desktop experience. We were working on a mobile experience that would have the full privacy features. But if you just want to get into Zcoin, hold it a bit. There's like Koinomi. There's Edge Wallet and all this other Kobo Wallet and a couple of others. There are great ways to just casually hold some Zcoin, and until we release our official mobile wallet. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. So yeah, that's what we say. Everyone listen, you can't store your tokens on exchanges. You should only have your tokens on exchanges when you're trading, and get those things off of the exchanges. That's one of the biggest risks and dangers that I see people is, they keep their coins on, they get hacked, they get phished, they get, the exchange goes down. So great. So yeah, make sure that you, if you're going to get some ZCoin, to either set up their wallet or some of the other, you said Coin2Me, as well as, what was the other wallet that you had suggested?
H wallet. So H
H
wallet
wallet.
and Konami are the best options because you store the private keys. A Cobalt wallet is a managed wallet, so they are you kind of have to trust them. So, but they have that masternode sharing thing, so that's a benefit there.
Excellent. Hey, Reuben, we call it Crushing Crypto, and you absolutely crushed it on this interview. You gave a ton of education. You didn't just, shield ZCoin left and right and go, and this is what we are. You put down the pom-poms, but you definitely know that you're passionate about the project. But you really gave some great education for everyone that was listening. So very, very thankful for the interview. Any last thoughts or any tips that for a lot of folks that watch my show are, and unlike we all are the Homer Simpsons at some time that are new, they're getting going. Any other last tips or thoughts for somebody that is a new investor, that somebody, a Yoda like you that has been doing this for a while, that you'd like to impart on them?
I would say, beware of influencers. Like a lot of people, we actually recently conducted a consumer audit to see how people bought coins, and many of them turned to influencers. And maybe back in the early days, people cared about the quality of the coins they were shilling, but unfortunately, even like those with really, really serious followings, it's not about their objectivity anymore. They're often paid to show something. And for the record, Colin, you're not receiving any sort of remuneration from us. It's totally independent and educated. But there are many, many other influencers out there that receive remuneration when they're shilling a coin. And so don't just because he has like 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, just buy into it. Take a look at BitConnect. Those guys had huge followings, and it was still a scam. So I would say, do your own research. Make sure you at least understand the coins that you're getting into. Read the white paper. This is a very common thing. And if you don't understand, don't just go into that our channel or like that coin's channel, because that will be like an echo chamber. Go and ask around, ask in the competitor, okay, so you're a privacy coin, what do you think of ZCoin? Maybe the crap on us, but you get a more balanced view, and even if you don't understand the specifics, you will get a more fair view rather than just going into the thing and hearing like an echo chamber and everyone's just shilling their own coin. And that's, I guess, the best advice that I can give right now.
That's great. No, do your homework, right? And understand what that intentions might not always be what they seem to be online. No, I think that's awesome. Like you said, just for everyone that's listening, we did not receive one ZCoin from doing this interview. That it just was something that was on our radar. And I've been watching some of the different speeches that you've given around the world, and I can tell you're passionate and your stuff. So thank you very much, Reuben. I know it's late there for you. You had a full day. So thank you very much. Very, very appreciative. And
thank you.
We will be in touch, my friend. I'm sure we'll see you in the circuit somewhere.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Absolutely. All right. And for everyone listening, this was normally we do 20, 30 minutes, but Reuben was just laying out the info and just really giving some great content. So if you liked it, share it, like it, and spread the knowledge, because this is what we're all in this together, and we're all in it to crush it together. All right. Excellent. Reuben, talk to you later, brother. All right. Take care, bud. Peace.